Hi, today we are going to make some Ginisang Ampalaya. So we're going to need just a few ingredients. Alright, so we are going to need 1 ampalaya. We're going to need 3 tomatoes. We're going to need about half of this onion and 2 eggs. Let's start off with chopping the onion. So I'll just use this much.
Robot.
Yeah, robot. That's an R. Circle it, please. So I found that with this technique, it's easier to chop onions. What you can do is make incisions here, 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 here. Kind of like just make slices, and that's when you slice it this way. What's that? Yeah. So, there you go. Did you see that? And then now we slice it. Yes, baby, just circle it. I will check it later, okay? I'm going to check your work. Yes, keep going. As you can see, when you chop it off, it's already in cube form, so it makes it easier to Now we're going to chop the tomatoes, and you just want to make about 8 slices out of this 1 tomato. So that's 1. Yes. Very good. 2. 4. Yes, please. Now the tricky thing with cooking ampalaya is that it's very bitter. It's bitter melon. So what you'll have to do is make sure first that you remove the seeds and then you remove all the white flesh. That is actually the bitter part of the vegetable, leaving only just mostly the skin, which is the green part. So let's start by chopping it up. And like so. You have to remove this white part, all of this white stuff, and just leave just the green part. That is the only thing that you want to eat. So you can use a spoon to just scoop that part out. As you can see, this has barely any of the white stuff. It's mostly the green stuff. And so you repeat this process with the rest. We have the the bitter melon peels, minus the seeds and minus the white fleshy part. Now what you want to do is put a bunch of salt onto this. You can put a lot because you're actually not going to cook it yet. You will be washing by rubbing the salt onto the flesh. So after that, you take this under the sink and you just rub it as you run it under running water. Okay, so now that you have these pieces, we're now going to slice them very, very thinly. As thin as you possibly can. So, this would be a pretty good portion. You can go thinner if you can. Basically, the thinner that you go, the less bitter it will be. So if you like that bitter taste, then you can make it a bit thicker. So it should look like this. Just like stems or strings of the bitter melon. So continue doing that with the rest. Yeah. So now we beat the egg. Now it's time to transfer the ampalaya onto a dish or a bowl. And what you do now is you put a lot of salt in there. Don't worry, you won't be cooking this much salt. This is just to rinse this and squeeze the bitter melon with the water that you're going to fill it up with, just to make sure that the bitterness really is drained from the melon. So now you heat your stove, and after the stove is really hot, you pour in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now you can drop in your onions. So let me show you the process of getting the ampalaya to get rid of its bitterness so that it's a lot more edible, especially for kids. So you'll have to really squeeze the water out. This is the 3rd time that I'm doing this, so I suggest doing it 3 to even 5 times if you can. Squeeze the water and then transfer it to a bowl. Squeeze the water. You're basically squeezing out all of the bitterness of that lemon or melon. Squeeze it. Okay, and got our final step. And now we're ready to put this onto our heated pot. And what you'd want to do now is not to move the bitter melon. After you've placed it on top of the onions, just leave it. So you can cover that. So after 10 minutes is done, we still don't touch the sizzling and cooking bitter melon. All we do now is to add the tomatoes. So that's what we're going to do now. Ampalaya. Now we add the tomatoes. Still without stirring and touching the bitter melon. And now we continue to let that sizzle for another 5 minutes. Alright, so now that we have allowed it to simmer for about 5 minutes, now we can check what it looks like. As you can see, the tomatoes are now getting a bit more moist, and we will allow a bit of the juices of the tomatoes to kind of seep through to the bitter melon. So now what we need to do is add some salt and pepper. Now we take 2 cups of water and we add that to the pot. Still without touching the bitter melon, we just pour in the egg and just let that sizzle for another 5 minutes. Okay, so another 5 minutes has passed and now it's time to finally be able to stir the entire stew. Going in. At this point, you can taste it, and if you want it to have more pepper, you can add pepper, and you can also add a teaspoon of soy sauce, which I think I'm going to do right now. So this version is a lot soupier than I normally make them, but since Rocket usually likes a bit of soup, I've made it soupier. You can make it drier by just adding 1 cup of water instead of 2. I'll start serving Reggie's dish, so we are eating it with some adobo and some brown rice, and if you'd like to check out my recipe for this type of Visayan dry adobo, simply just click on the link below. In the meantime, let's add some of this ampalaya, or what is also known as sauteed bitter melon with egg and tomatoes. And there you go. We've got the bitter melon with the egg, some soup, and it goes well with the saltiness of the adobo. Alright, time to eat. Bon appetit!